recording. But yeah, it's well, technically it's 9:59 where I'm at, but it should be around 8:59 a.m. where you guys are at. So, without further ado, let's look at a couple things here. All right, we're gonna start the show just a tad bit early because I do want to analyze quite a few things, including Bitcoin dominance, USDT dominance, and just get a general sense of where we are at the start of the year. And first of all, for the first time in a very long while, we are in neutral. This is crazy to say, but it has technically been about 2 months since we dropped all the way from greed into extreme fear, and now we're back climbing up to neutral at 45, which is a big jump, right? Last week, when we were doing these lives, uh, well, technically there's only one live last week. I believe the fear and greed was about 26, 20, 24. So a 20-point jump is significant. But what's sort of scary to me is if we go to the liquidation level map, right? Oh, hey, Voicey, welcome. Uh, you can see that, you've got about the same leverage or cumulative liquidations both on the long and uh yeah, downside and top side. And you can see that the clusters are about similar. If we go to the 7 day, you can see that we are heavily imbalanced to the downside, but there is this huge cluster here to the upside. And you can see that around this part, right, we have a short for Bitcoin chilling. Here on the 30 day, we also have something very similar. Now, what does this tell us? Well, first of all, it tells us that there is an incentive for market makers to push price down because of this cumulative liquidation and the fact that we have such a heavy imbalance on basically the higher time frame of 7 and 30 day. But right now we should expect volatility when US market opens. Now if we go to the RSI heat map, 4 hours saying overbought for everything, 12 hours same thing. If we go to the 1 week, it is still relatively weak, which tells me that there is room for more upside. Granted, how much upside, that wholly depends on perhaps your 24-hour, because you are going to have to drop down a little bit given that your lower time frames are overbought, you know. But it tells me that we are headed up higher generally and we're looking for those premium prices. If we go to the liquidation map, right, 24-hour does put our hotspot around 95. 48-hour places our hotspots at around 95 as well, with a lot of hotspots down here at 92. Let's zoom out to the 1 week here on Bitcoin, and you can see that we have hotspots as low as 87. Now, if we go to the 2 week, it should have some imbalances on, mostly to the downside. So again, there is incentive for us to head down from here compared to heading up straight away. Yeah. So we should probably mark 86,000 in our chart, but other than that, you can see just 2 week there's too much liquidation or cumulative liquidations to the downside. But with that said, that is the fundamental analysis done in a whopping 3 minutes, and we should probably look at the TA because that's the exciting part. So this is set to 5 minutes and 1 hour, but let me just zoom out for us, right? I'll do 1 hour and 1 day just to get a sense of what we are looking at right now. So another reason why I do think we are headed up generally is because if you look at our MVP ribbon, right, you still have room to extend. Now, that said, you have many targets or many other points of confluence saying that we want downside. So thankfully this ascending or this bear flag didn't technically play out, but technically we're not out of the woods just yet, because if I extend this, you can see that we are still in the same ascending channel that we're in. And if this really is a bear flag, then I mean that's not ideal, right? It's really not ideal, so I can adjust this here. Having said that, our 1 day is overbought, but you have room to extend on your MVP ribbon. So, I do think that we go push up to more premium prices, right? Maybe reach the top of this channel and then head back down to maybe the chick magnet or the liquidity block. And I think our 1 hour corroborates that idea because of the fact that if you look here on the 1 hour, your CPO plus did flip, you've got money inflow, right? And your MVP ribbon in all odds, despite the fluid zero line being quite high, which increases the likelihood that you fall down into bearish momentum, it has sort of flipped and it's now trying to get back above that fluid zero line. So that tells me we are getting more premium prices. Now, is that the same story for Ethereum? I think so. So let me quickly delete this so that we can see this better. And let me change it to the time frame that we were looking at earlier. Oh, sorry, this is supposed to be the 1 day. Now, what I will say with Ethereum 1 day is that this does look nice. You know, it's technically a double bottom, right? So TA wise, Ethereum looks fantastic. But we are sort of in the same ballpark as Bitcoin, wherein you still have room to extend on your MVP ribbon despite being overbought. So we are going to push up. And you can see, actually, this might be a great entry. We should probably look into that later or in just a moment, right? And you are experiencing the same story here on your 1 hour Ethereum. So as much we can look at Solana as well, but I do believe that it's going to be somewhat of a similar story. Let's go back to the 1 hour. Now I do have a short on Solana ready, as you guys know, and I just realized just like a second ago that I didn't post a picture of the chart, so that's my bad. So I might have to re-upload it with the image of the chart. But with that said, you can see that you do still have room to extend here on Solana for the 1 day, right? And we are entering at this point of resistance. Now, it does tell me that some of the alts are performing a little bit differently compared to Bitcoin. I mean, MVP ribbon's a little bit different, but I think that's something that we have to check out in um, Bitcoin dominance. And this is a very messy chart. Excuse me. Let me go in here. BCD. And then let's just do, oof, yeah, not a pretty chart whatsoever. Okay, actually let's try to make this cleaner for us. So Bitcoin dominance, as you can see, it's sort of bottoming out here on the MVP ribbon on the 1 day, and it's going sort of oversold. So that tells me that we are going to get an instance in where coins are going to follow Bitcoin again as Bitcoin dominance rises, right? Typically, when you have crypto seasons such as these, you're going to get Bitcoin dominance first before any sort of altcoin season, before we see alts truly become independent and have sort of a different tune to Bitcoin. But my worry is that if Bitcoin gets to around 98,000 where our entry is, and if Bitcoin dominance skyrockets, that means that we are going to experience a bigger point of downside for our altcoin trades. Now, with that said, let's also look at USDT dominance. Excuse me. Yeah, there's sort of a cold running around the Philippines right now. Everyone's kind of sick. Not sure why, but it is what it is. You know, that doesn't stop us from trading or working. Excuse me. But yes. And another thing I'm worried about if you have a look here at USDT dominance. So the reason why this chart is relevant for those who might be unfamiliar with USDT dominance is when USDT's dominance increases, that means most people are holding their crypto in USDT as opposed to your typical or conventional cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and whatnot. And you can see that USDT dominance is oversold and it is bottoming out. So if this were to increase, that means people are now going to be selling off their cryptocurrencies, putting selling pressure onto the market as USDT goes up and more people are holding their stuff in crypto. So it is a little worrying. And again, I mentioned this in my analysis update just, I believe, 2 days ago, that I do think that we are going to get some downside soon. Even if early into the week, we will see some upside. And let me look at chat if there's anything. Doesn't look like there's anything just yet. But if you guys have any questions or anything you want to ask, just let me know. Now this stream will be slightly shorter than normal. It'll be an hour and 30 minutes. So we still have, we still have an hour and 20 minutes on the show. And the reason being, I still kind of have a little bit of jet lag. And the country I went to was 5 hours advance. So like right now I am really, really tired. But that's not going to stop me from sharing my passion with you guys and, analyzing the market with all of you. So Ondo actually just got an alert. So you can see that we are getting to these points where we're just rapidly pushing up in terms of price. Now market open is it's in 19 minutes, so that is interesting, right? Let's see, Solana, Bitcoin's kind of far actually. But in any case, what's something I want to do? Actually, Zach never went to the short. Yeah, this short was canceled. So as we're looking at some of these coins, right, I'm setting alerts at places where I think Bitcoin will then start to keel over. But in any case, the hope is that we keep these trades running until Bitcoin keels over. Now, as some of you may know, I did take a banking class, and right now, in terms of macroeconomic sentiment, it is in the bank's best interest to maybe spend. However, there's still not enough liquidity right now. Now, as you guys all probably know, the whole Venezuelan president getting kidnapped by the US, that is a whole thing, and it didn't really affect the markets. But I'm a little bit skeptical because of the fact that had it affected the markets, that would have been an opportune time to accumulate or to purchase. But the fact that it didn't really have an effect just yet is kind of sketchy. That's not normally how markets react. And so chalking it up to, oh, lucky coincidence, doesn't seem appropriate. And again, whether or not the TA dictates the news or the news dictates the TA, it's all nothing burgers, right? What we have to understand here is the TA is showing that it's possible that we are going, or it's not even possible, it's more likely we're going to get downside. And whether that downside is going to correlate with any news that comes out within the week, we don't know. But I just want you guys to know that if you guys are in any trades that are in profit, I would consider having zero risk on them. Put your stop losses to break even. Obviously not technically financial advice, but I really I've done it for Ondo and ADA, as you guys know, and I truly believe that we are going to get some downside, which is why I am positioning for some shorts, and I might announce like a close on ADA soon. But with that said, this is a live scalping session, so we should probably head over into the 5 minutes and 1 hour to see if we can get any scalps running for these coins. Now, if you guys have any coins you want me to look at, please let me know, because um, I normally just trade the top 50. So if there's anything interesting that you guys have or you guys are looking at, feel free to let me know. H bar. Yeah, we can look at H bar for sure. Um, hold on. Let me boot it up. This XRP. Okay, let's look at H bar. H bar. Alright, Hedera. Let's see Blowfin. I mean, this is technically your classic up, retest, up, retest, up, retest, but you can see that it is losing steam as it heads up. Uh, in terms of scalping, we kind of have to wait for the 1 hour to go oversold, but it is nice that we do see at least some points of confluence saying that we want some downside. So if I go to the 30-minute, possibly swing this, right? Aster? Okay, we can check out Aster. Yeah. Just give me a sec. So it is saying that you want downside, right? You have a peak seeker right here. And you do have a chick magnet down here at your support. That said, it does seem like we could get a little bit more upside. So possibly setting an alert here at the liquidity block would be something. Whether or not you take that short, right, it would look something maybe like this. We can make it a higher probability by placing it there, down here, then placing this above, let's say, equilibrium, maybe lower slightly to get a nicer risk to reward. Yeah, something like this could be something, but right now H bar does seem like it's primed to at least head back to this liquidity block, and whatever it does at this liquidity block, that's when we decide whether or not to take action with it. So I would just set alerts. Set an alert for 0.4134 around that area, and also for 0.1369. That way you can tell whether there's still steam in the move. I got a request for Aster, so let's have a look at Aster. Ooh, okay, Aster. Ooh, interesting. So Aster's right now testing the quantum reactor here on the 4-hour chart, and it just so happens that on the 30-minute chart, the quantum reactor is right where you have premium and a liquidity block. So I would set an alert at 0.8. You do have bearish divs, but note that you have incredible money inflow as well as a ribbon twist. So it's likely we break past that quantum reactor into perhaps your FVG here on the 4-hour. So I would also set an alert at around 0.85 and 0.87, just so we know, or we can determine how it reacts to this FVG when it gets there. If we look at it from a scalping perspective, right? I mean, long wick to the downside. We're at the premium. We kind of got past that liquidity block, which, I mean, is something, right? But I would still wait for the 1 hour to go overbought before we get any ideas. But generally, my bias is to short at the moment, given how our fundamental analysis is appearing, right? So something like this could be something that works as a scalp. Now, with scalps, I really only use about 0.5% of my total portfolio, since I don't want to risk too much in comparison to swings. But yeah, something like this. Now, this is just an idea, not an endorsement. Don't take this yet, but this does look somewhat promising. Um, but I need to see if we go overbought or if we get like a ribbon twist. Now Solana is moving 142. It's pushing, so we could get our entry soon. Uh, which could be something. Although it's kind of scary that the 1 hour still isn't overbought or isn't reacting the way we'd like. Your 5 minutes is overbought. It's incredibly overbought. Let's look at maybe the 4 hour here. Sort of the same thing. Entering here at resistance. How's Ondo and Ada, which is our current trades? They're doing pretty well, which is fantastic. But yeah, we still have 10 minutes to market open, which, at this point, it's probably best to just wait it out, in my opinion. Let's see a chat. Again, if you guys have any questions or anything with regard to indicators that you'd like to know, just ask away. I'm an open book. And excuse any change in voice. There's just really a cold going around. My mom and my sis also have like coughs and whatnot, and like the back part of my throat's kind of painful too. Hope it's not sore throat. But yeah, I don't know if it's just like the fatigue from flying around as well, or the jet lag, but it's something for sure. Oof. But yeah, we do have this short on Solana coming up. So if you guys have, or you guys want to get in on a short, I have a short here for Solana. Uh, in that case, we should probably look at XRP while we're at it, right? Damn, XRP really, XRP is crazy. Okay, let's Okay, so XRP, bearish div, as well as a peak seeker. Could push up here, actually. Yeah, it could push up all the way here. 2.52. Yeah, that's definitely something. That does look like something. Yeah, actually, let's look at the... Oh, interesting. So the macro Elliott wave has changed. So as you guys know, we have been looking at this trade, or the macro Elliott wave, for quite a while to sort of guide our live streams, and this chart does look a little convoluted, unfortunately. But let me hide this. But what's a little scary is we're now getting multiple figures. So back then, for those who are new to the stream, right? Trend following system. For those who are new to the stream, back then we really only had extensions up to about the 1 week golden zone, about above the 618, and essentially without the indicators, you just get a head and shoulders. So I do apologize for the mess, but this would have been a head and shoulders, right? With the neckline breaking at around 96K. Now, these are new projections by our Elliott wave, and it's projecting anywhere from 66, 49, even 20. I really doubt we go to 20 because the last time we were here, that would basically invalidate any um or any of this move to the upside, right? Which has been impressive and it really does outperform any sort of asset. But this move to about 66 does make sense to me as well if we get rejected from this point. And if we don't get to our 618 at 108K, we're really running out of time. And that would force us to basically go down to these lower targets at around 66. But until then, I'd say that we can at least stay a little bit optimistic given that our CPO Plus is pushing to the upside. MVP ribbon is transitioning, although it does look like it still has room to keel over. But generally, when you do get this color shift, you are expecting ideally a twist eventually to bullish momentum. Now, USDT is still going oversold. We can look at some of our other coins. ADA is pushing up. Altcoins are really pushing up. It appears. Is Aster pushing up? Okay, Aster's overbought on the 5 minutes, not yet on the 1 hour. Would be interesting if we can get Aster overbought because that would be quite the scalp here on the 1 hour, if it's possible. Let me see who's on the live. I see Addy, Vamshi, Zbeezy, JT. Welcome to the show. Lovely to see you guys, and we have 4 minutes till market open. So until then, I suggest we just wait it out, observe what happens in the first 20 minutes of market open, and then set up some trades. With that said, I just want to get just a vibe check. How has everyone's New Year been so far? I hope it's gone pretty well, but don't be shy. Let me know how your New Year's going. Will silver drop or keep rising short term? That's a good question. I do think it drops. Now, I can pull up the chart, so give me a sec, but I will... I just make a new layout. Hey, Addy. Well, thank you for joining me then. Yeah. Actually, so I'm guessing you're new to Chart Prime? If that's the case, or is this just like your first stream here? Oh yeah, let's go to all. Yeah, it came from Chart Hackers. I see. All right, well, welcome to the show and the Chart Prime. I do hope that these streams become valuable for you. And if you have any questions about sort of our Chart Prime indicators or just trading in general, just let me know. I'm an open book. And if there's any asset you want me to look at, just let me know as well. So what's the ticker for... Oh no, it's not silver. What's the ticker for silver again? Silver futures. This is it. SIL1. Okay. This one? Micro silver. Oh. Okay. Yeah, if you guys have any questions about any of the Chart Prime indicators, just let me know. Yeah. Don't be shy. So, let me pull up the 1 week here. Okay. So, here's one thing we can look at, right? You are above your 200-day moving average. You are above your 200-week moving average. You're incredibly overextended on the weekly, and this is a high time frame. So when a really high time frame is overextended, you basically should look at it with look at it with a lot of attention, right? Another thing we have to note is your fluid zero line right here is way above your actual zero line. And when it is way above your actual zero line, that means that the span or the span that you have left to be overly or overall bullish is reduced. Because as soon as this gets all the way up here and your ribbon travels below it, then you enter overall bearish momentum. So, a good example, and again, I do apologize for my cold. Um, a good example is this. You can see that our fluid zero line is pretty neutral throughout this move, and as we continue to push up, our fluid zero line follows our MVP ribbon, and you can see this acts as a great place for price to bounce. You can see that this bounce off the fluid zero line coincided with roughly this area of a bounce. This push here coincided with roughly this push here. And as you push up, right, as you push up, the more that it gets closer to the ribbon, the more likely you go bearish. The fact that you're overbought here on the 1 week and you are getting a ribbon twist indicates that, you know, you do want some downside. Notice how your money inflow is also dropping. Now, does that mean that we're going to get a drop, a significant drop? I'm not sure. But here is one thing we should consider at this point. So notice how when we did get that drop in money inflow, we did sort of range for a while. Now we're getting that drop again, but this time it's a more drastic drop compared to this drop. And on top of that, right, we do have a point of confluence, the chick magnet, telling us that we want to go down to about 56. Now, as we retest this premium or the previous quarter high, we need to basically determine, will this continue to push upwards? Now, if we go to the 1 month, it really isn't going to tell us much other than the fact that it is overbought, right? Back to the 1 month. It's not telling us that much other than it's overbought and money inflow is incredibly high. Now, your chick magnet does say that we want to go back to the 200-day moving average, which, that's something. But that said, if we can't get above the previous wick, or at least if we can't fill at least 90% of it, which is probably around here at 81, then it's probably best to just wait. So what I would do is I'd set an alert at 81. All right, around 81. Let's go back to the 1 week. Oh my goodness. The cold's really, hold on. I'm really sorry. Excuse me. But yeah, set an alert for 81. See what happens if we get a sharp rejection, and from there, basically look at your lower time frames. I would suggest the 12-hour for this rather than say the 1 day. And yeah, so your 12-hour does say that you could have some more upside, but it is experiencing the same thing, that your fluid zero line is way too high, and essentially any drop at this point is going to result in overall bearish momentum. So 81, possible short entry is going to be at around 82, right? And then you can short it to the target on the 1 day, which I believe was around 56. So it's just an idea, and I do want to preface that technically I do not trade precious metals. So again, this is just an idea. Take it with some salt, but I do think this is a somewhat reasonable setup right here for silver. What indicator shows the chick magnet? Sign kind of list that tells us which charts are showing chick magnets. I do believe that all charts have chick magnets if you have access to the whale kit. The indicator that shows the chick magnet is the whale kit. So this is from J Bravo's suite, trading suite. So I'm not sure about the process, since for context, I'm just a contracted analyst for Chart Prime, so they gave me access to basically everything, and I'm not sure if everyone, regardless of subscription, whether that's from uh, chart hackers or just regular chart prime, will have access to this. So you may want to contact support for that. Do you have the lifetime for that still, or can pro members and Bravo users? I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I'm not too sure about that, since technically when when they brought me on, they just said, "Here's everything, you go use it." So, yeah, I'm really sorry I couldn't help with that. But yeah, let's go back to our crypto because market did open. It's been 5 minutes since the open. See how we're responding. Well, we didn't take too kindly to open apparently, but it's still something. Yeah, not looking too kindly on the open. I am on Bravo's ultimate package, which includes the Bravo kit. Yeah, yeah. So it's the whale kit. Oh yeah, I don't have it on any of the lower time frames. So it's the whale kit. So you do need access to it. So this one right here. You will have to ask support. I see. All right. I'll see what I can do with support since I'm a whole different branch. Um, and so, yeah, I'll see what I can do. But I'll speak to support about it. But I do want to preface that technically I can't guarantee anything. Yeah. Let's go back to Solana. I'll move this slightly so that it's not like covering the whole thing. It's like that. That could be something, yeah. But oh, that would actually be interesting. Can you shortly discuss the purple and green price level on the right side of your chart? Oh, sure. So, what this is it's your volume profile by Chart Prime. So, if you go to your Market Dynamics Pro, and oh wait, it's all the way up here. My bad. Here, yeah, volume profile. So, I do modify by default. I believe this is 25. I place mine at 20, and essentially, what this tells you is just the delta in terms of. Oh god, oh, hold on. I'll be right back. Excuse me. Well, yeah. I really don't know what's wrong with the cold right now, but essentially, what this tells you is the delta between your longs and shorts and orders, and then just the overall money inflow. So the purple and the ones here on the left will tell you your deficiencies or your deltas, and then this is sort of your overall volume at a certain price. Now, what's interesting about the volume profile is essentially the longer and the darker the bars are, those indicate basically support and resistance. Um, it doesn't really matter in terms of how far. Actually, it doesn't matter the color, but what matters is how far out it speaks to the chart. So if it's long, such as this, then you've got a ton of deficiency or a ton of deficit here, and that's going to act as some very solid support. You can see that at this point, right, your reactors are here as well, so strong support. This is the money flow POC. the purple one with the pink line. So if you modify your pink line or the color right here at your POC, and if you extend it out, that will tell you basically where money flow is strongest. So it's at this point. Now, a very interesting thing you can use with the volume profile, if you don't want to remember any of this sort of gimmicks and whatnot, you can use it as a way to detect where smart money is going to enter. So the theory goes that if you have very low volume or money flow and very low deficit, that's an area where price will be exhausted, or where retail is going to be exhausted. And so at that point in time, you can basically enter as smart money and push the price toward the opposite direction without that much volume. So if we go, there's not really a good example here on the 4 hour chart. So I'm going to try looking at higher time frames to basically see if we can observe this phenomenon. Ah, perfect. Here. This right here, 250. So note we have very little volume, right? Here on the right, because this is volume, this is money flow. And then we have very little deficit or delta, right? And if we go here, you can see that this was sort of the all-time, was it the all-time high? No, it wasn't. It wasn't the all-time high, but at this point, at our local our local top, right? You can see that we wicked off this area, and smart money was able to basically short it from here. And we can use this as basically snapshots into potential areas where we can take longs or shorts, which is why, for example, here, when we're taking our short, you can see that we have low volume as well as a low deficit, which tells us that we're more likely to get uh, selling pressure as we move to this area. And we are technically wicking right now, so we're really just waiting for entry. Now you can explore more of the volume profile. There are tutorials in, I believe, class recordings by OC, but essentially that's how I use the volume profile. It just tells me where strong areas or ranges of strong support and resistance possibly lie, your money flow POC, as well as where smart money would hypothetically enter, because this updates in real time to reflect market conditions. Hey, DagaDT, it's been a while. Happy New Year. Yeah. Hey, Shraff and Rack, that guy. Welcome, guys. Welcome back. Happy New Year. I missed all of you. Oh, my nose is killing me today. It's not good. Oh, hold on, guys. I'm gonna get tissue. Give me like 2 minutes. I just got the whole roll. This is going to be a fantastic evening, at least for me, who stays here in Asia. All right, we're back. We're back. Let's see what else we're up to. Okay. So it's really just kind of chopping, right? Here in the lower time frames, not really giving us clarity. Now, at this point, if you're looking solely on the 5 minutes, you might want to take a short. But if you look at your 1 hour, you are headed to the upside. And so I really wouldn't take a short here when it's really just chopping. That's basically a recipe for disaster and for us getting trapped in either direction. Uh, yeah, no, this is not a place to enter. We're really just waiting at the moment. Let's go here onto maybe the 1 hour just to reflect things better. Now, if this closes as a bearish hammer, that would be interesting, or at least if it has such a long wick to the upside and it closes like over here, we could possibly take a short, but if not, then we should really just wait it out and see what happens. Yeah, but who asked about silver again? Um, oh shoot, I'm really sorry. Your names are truncated now, so I can't tell. But in any case, again, just set your alert for about 81 and then see what it does. Because you could potentially short at 82 if this is overbought. If not, then it's best to probably just let it discover at what price it's going to get exhausted at. No, Bitcoin's being a little dramatic here, but yeah, I do think that it should go up in the immediate term casting, but I don't think it's going to go up drastically. It's possible, right, that it goes up here and then it wicks back down, gets rejected, because this is going to be premium plus resistance. But it's possible that it also just completely blasts past this, because you do have pretty decent money inflow. You do have bearish volume. Your fluid zero lines up here, so I do think that we can at least get to 82. Right, I'm confident we get to at least 82. But what happens at 82? That's what we're going to have to look at when we get to 82. It's hard to tell whether this just goes completely overbought and just rams through, right? But at least in practice with our indicators, we can see that this is not a sustainable move, right? Going up past this area is not going to be sustainable for momentum, and so people are going to take profits when you get to 82, and therefore you are likely to see at least some sell side pressure at 82. So again, set an alert for 81, wait for it to hit 82, see what it does. If it leaves a big wick like this, then it's possible to take a short from there, bet against it, wait for it to get to maybe 56. If you want to be more conservative, you can maybe aim for 64, but 56 based on the 1 day was pretty realistic. Can you check Halliburton? Thank you. Long-term trade. Sure. Uh, is it Halliburton? This one by NYSE, or did you want another? Which one did you want me to use, Dimitar? This one by XETR, NYSE. Alright, right. While Dimitar is typing, I see. Um, so I'm guessing NYSE is the source you want to use, or is there a different source? Yes, alright, NYSE. It is overbought here in the 12 hour, but let's try to look at maybe the 1 day. Oh man, that is choppy. No, yeah, just chop, 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 chop. Ooh, not loading. It is overall bullish, right? Uh, you do have your bullish cross with your dynamic and quantum reactor. They are green. Now your 200-day moving average is below your 200-week moving average, which does tell us that this is basically sort of a move back into bullishness if we could head back up above your 200-week moving average. That said, you do have your check magnet here. You are overbought, so some downside. We can expect some downside. Your fluid zero line is quite high as well, so I would suspect some downside, and I would trust the check magnet at this point. It's possible you do get stopped out, or you get like supported at around 29.64. I don't think it's definitely a crash. This looks more like a classic uptrend retest uptrend sort of deal, right? But, I could be wrong, right? The whole thing about trading and sort of looking at it with our tools is that even if we got the most accurate tools, we can't really 100% certainty say that it's going to this price at this point, right? It's very likely that because we're overbought, because we have an overextended momentum, bullish momentum, that we are going to head at least to this support level. So it's possible that when we get to this support, we just keel over, we break down, and then now we test this. And then from here, if we break down from there, we go here, right? But I do think that what's more likely, given what I'm seeing, is that we at least go here and then maybe head up. So let's go back to our crypto. Ooh, interesting. Okay, this might be it actually. This might be it. So I would wait for the 30-minute close and then see what happens. But this could be it. This could be the time to take a short. You're very welcome. Damn, Solana was almost hit too. Ooh, Bitcoin's not reacting very fondly. Why does the 30-minute have a check magnet? Ooh. Oh yeah, I mean, look at this 1 hour. If it closes like this, then it's best to probably close like the ADA long. I probably let the Ondo long run a little, because we got it at such a good price here. But I think ADA we can probably let go. And take full profit on ADA. Can you review Sui and Zek? Absolutely. Let's look at Sui. Bluefin. let's look at it from a swing perspective before we do any shorting ideas. So, wow, that's I'm gonna have to turn off this volume profile. I can't see anything. So with SWE, we are overbought here in the 4 hour. Our fluid zero line has returned to a neutral zero. We are somewhat high in terms of the fluid zero line here on the 30-minute, but with your MVP ribbon pointed up somewhat to the upside, I mean, it could be pointed to the downside, but I do think that we do get at least a retest back down to maybe 1.88 this FVG. Then you do have your 4R chick magnet telling you that you are going down to about 1.77. And if you look at that area, it is where your dynamic and quantum reactors are on your 30 minutes, as well as your structure, or at least your 618, according to the Archer or Fibonacci Archer box. So I do think we at least keel over just a little bit, because SWE's had a pretty big run relative to the other coins that we've been playing. I mean, 41%. Now you do have heavy money inflow, so that does give me confidence in. And now I'm gonna need to use tissue again. Hold on one sec. All right, excuse me. Now, let we should probably look at maybe the 1 day to get an idea of where it is going. So your 1 day is overbought. You do still have some room to extend, and so that does tell me that you may see it's really a toss up. It could go either to 2.1, get retest here on the dynamic reactor and the liquidity block, or it keels over right now and heads back down. What I think is more probable, personally, is going to be maybe a push to the upside, right? But it wouldn't surprise me if we keel over at least and retest this area before we head up. Yeah. Now let me have a look at ZEC real quick. It's been a while since I had a look at ZEC. I found it funny because we did short ZEC at around 569. Where was that? How long ago was that? Is it this one? Yeah, we like shorted it around here and then it fell all the way here, so that was fun. And now it's sort of hanging out around where we shorted it. But with ZEC, at least from what I'm seeing, I think we will get some more moves to the upside. But yeah, no, that's looking a little ugly. So we do still have a minute 39 before we get our close. So I mean, with your CPO plus and your fluid zero line like this, granted you are overall bearish for now, but if you have this and you can phase above that fluid zero line and get up with your CPO plus showing like an intent to move up, then I do see us at least getting back to 555. Now, this does look like a pretty decent place to take a short, so I would maybe set an alert there as well as an alert here at 608 just to give us an idea of where price wants to go, and then I'll set one here at around 575. Hold on one sec, guys. All right, where were we? Yes. So all right, sorry guys, just had to quickly answer a call. But does seem BNB might be interesting to look at if it's going over bot like this. Ooh, Aster just fell. Man, that would have been a pretty decent short if we were paying attention to it. BNB. Let's look at BNB. That doesn't really look sexy to short, if I'm being honest with you guys. I mean, it's just a cluster right here. And then your 1 hour isn't technically overbought just yet. Yeah, that's not exactly sexy to short. Okay, I'll just set an alert here and here. Let's see if we can go back to our big three. So I do think that we at least get our Solana short soon. If we do, I'd be very happy because it does seem like it's gonna pan out pretty well, considering our 1H is overbought now. So a push to our entry would be great. Alright. Should we continue to hold ADA? Yeah, I think we can continue to hold ADA for just a little more, but I do think I want to close it within the next hour. So I think by the end of the stream we can close it for sure. Hey, little fish. Oh, oh yeah. Did I finish looking at Zach? Oh yeah. So I do think we're at least getting or we're going to see a little bit more upside on Zek before we can properly short Zek. Yeah. Hey, little fish. Happy New Year. Good morning to you. I should probably drink some water while we're at it. Okay. Oof. Why is that drawing? Okay. Shorting Ethereum might actually be a pretty decent thing, or decent plan. Actually, you know what? We can probably close ADA. Yeah. Let me announce to close ADA real quick. ETH volume got uptick. Really? Excuse me. Interesting. But yeah, I'll just announce. I'll close ADA now. Alright, I closed ADA fully, so made about 290% ROI off of ADA, so I would say that was pretty successful. I'll keep Ondo running for now, just because, I mean, the fluid zero line is incredibly low, uh, and I do think that, breaking out of this descending channel has been more, um, or basically Ondo has more in the tank than Ada, I would say, but you know, we'll just have to wait and see. But close Ada for now, locked in the profits fully, and we can explore possibly shorting some of these coins. So I'll also log this into the Langestrom trade log as a, as winning. Hmm. Kind of want to see how BTC reacts when it gets to, if it gets to 93. So it is at the liquidity block, and we're basically in a no trade zone between the quantum reactor and dynamic reactor. So not entirely sure what to do right now. Yeah, kind of don't want to move. So I do think it was right to close ADA, but we'll have to see if it actually is right. Oof. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get any clarity until maybe a couple hours from now. So notice how in the past hour, right? Or yeah, in the past hour we've just been chopping around this whole level. In fact, if you go to Bitcoin, we've just been here. So around 94 and 93.6. So really just chopping. And while our CPO plus does tell us that we want to head down, we are bottoming out here, and everything about our 1 hour is saying we want to head up. So we've got conflicting signals on our lower time frames and higher time frames. And so making a move right now is going to be a little hasty. Granted, we know the bias for the FA is to the downside. And I guess for those that weren't here, I should probably boot it up again, right? So for those who missed the FA at the start of the show, which of course is how the program usually works, we do have about the same level of leverage here, and in fact we should probably refresh to see how it's changed, but about a 1-to-1 cumulative liquidation ratio. We do have clusters on both sides, but if we look at the 7-day and 30-day, we see that we're heavily imbalanced to the downside. And while we do have these clusters over here, I do suspect that we're going to take these guys out and then go for these clusters that are chilling below us. And on the 30-day, it's the same story. We have a couple clusters and then huge clusters down here. If we look at your liquidation heat map and then we go to maybe just the 3-day or the 48-hour, we do have a hotspot at 95, but we also have hotspots below us at 90, and I believe 48 hours shows like 88, or maybe the 1 week shows 88, and it's saying no data. Let me just refresh the site. There we go. Go for 1 week if possible. 1 week. just like that. We do have a ton of liquidity down to at least 89, 88, and even 87,000. And you can see just the liquidation or cumulative long liquidations heavily outweigh your cumulative shorts. RSI heat map, of course, 24 hours going to be you're overbought. Your 12 hours overbought like crazy. So we can look at these coins as well. So we could probably look at shorting maybe virtual or even render. So let me exit this. Look at virtual. That might be something we can look at. Go to Bluffin. Ooh, but it has so much money inflow, which is kind of scary. Interesting. I'll probably monitor virtual, uh, because right now it doesn't seem like it's entirely ripe for the picking, but it does look promising because of how much green candles you've got. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Close to 5 days of just green for virtual. Let's get render. Kind of the same story as well. But I'll set an alert here at the liquidity block, somewhere around here as well. Potential short here, as well as maybe here. And yeah, I mean, multiple bearish divs. We are headed up, so possibly to that liquidity block with the resistance, and then gonna retest maybe the quantum reactor. So that could be a short that's coming. Um, but with that said, it doesn't seem like we can get a scalp today. And unfortunately, that's sort of been the trend for the past few shows, is that the market's moving a little bit too choppy for me, and so I can't confidently give you guys scalps. And like when October and November were rolling around, where I was able to give scalps on the shows and they would do pretty well. And in fact, I think I only lost 2 scalps out of maybe like, was it 8? So pretty decent. That said, doesn't look like we're going to scalp today, which sucks. But we do have that short on Solana that's sort of raring to go. We're just really waiting on that push to the upside. With that said, there is still 12 minutes on the show, so if anyone has any questions on indicators or maybe how to set up the Fluid Zero line or explaining any of our tools, feel free to let me know and I will help you guys out for sure. Um, oh wait. So again, pretty hard to tell, but I'm looking at about 82. Well, technically it's here about 82.3, 82.8 to possibly short silver. Um, but just be careful because technically silver is in that price discovery mode, right? It's sort of discovering where it wants to go, and so this could really just rally back into overbought and then just blow past this SL around 92. But I do think that long term silver does have to correct, because this is really an unsustainable move. And you see attempts of people or of shorts going through, but just the buying pressure on silver is insane at the moment. Uh, if we go zoom out to the 1 week, yeah, I mean, we are going for the premium previous quarter high. And then if we go for the 12-hour, I do think this was resistance right here, I believe. Yeah, so it is interesting. 82.785 is like a pretty decent probability of getting a successful short. But just wait for it, set an alert, get ready to possibly enter market. Or you can maybe just do an incredibly low leverage, or just be very, or just manage your risk properly when it comes to shorting any asset that's in price discovery. So again, 82.785 is where I'd look to potentially get a short. But I do want to preface that I don't trade precious metals itself, so unfortunately I can't join you on this trade unless, does Blowfin have tokenized precious metal? Let me check. I guess not. No, unfortunately it doesn't. So I can't join you if you are going to short silver. But yeah, I'd look at around 82.785 to take a short. Let's look at how. Okay, so we are pushing back up. On this, pushing back up pretty decent. Solana's probably gonna get to our entry at 145. It is overbought on the hour, so I do think that it's higher probability for a short. But yeah. Oh, hey Hugh Hector. Um, welcome to the show. Zvi. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna butcher your name, but welcome to the show. And yeah, thank you for joining me. We still have 7 minutes on the show, but regardless, I do hope you guys had a very happy New Year, and you guys were able to spend it with family. And we are getting some profitable trades at the start of the year, which is always a great way to start. And here we are with markets that are confusing and unclear. I do apologize if my voice sounds a little different. I do have a cold right now, and in fact, I do have to use it. But yeah, I hope you guys have had a wonderful New Year so far. Um, but yeah, kind of choppy. I mean, I do think we can try to get to this premium here on Bitcoin, which would allow us to push for other alts. Uh, we will get, we definitely will get some downside soon, with how our liquidity is stacked all the way to the bottom, and so I wouldn't go gig along at this point anymore. What's up, guy? Yeah, markets are choppy. Hope you feel. Thank you so much. I'm actually not sure what my cold's about. Yesterday I was just fine, um, but here it is, I guess. And I do start going back to college tomorrow, so it's also something. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. I do think we get our Solana short tonight, so I will continue to monitor this. If we do get it, I mean, this could absolutely just nuke right now to the downside, but I do hope it at least gets to our entry, then decides to keel over. Because what I do like about sort of our ADA entry and Ondo entry is that there's basically no drawdown. So had I played it a little less safe and maybe placed the stop loss here by the median line instead of all the way down here, then more likely we would have been able to generate more profits by increasing the leverage, or in the case, yeah, by increasing the leverage, which I do think we were at 8, so increasing the leverage here might have resulted in like a 20, or yeah, because you're basically cutting the thing in half, right? So maybe like a 20x lev, and so we definitely make more, but we were playing it safe, and we are still making quite a lot from this Ondo trade. And I hope that anyone who hopped in to this Ondo trade is happy with the results so far. I do intend to hold this until Ondo breaks out back to all-time highs and goes into price discovery. So this is just gonna stay on. In any case, it does look like the stream should come to an end. With that said, tomorrow I hope I do feel better so that we can get like the full length of the stream, because the maximum length for these streams are going to be about 2 hours. But today I'm not feeling too well, and uh, markets are kind of choppy, so it's not that exciting. But that said, tomorrow I do hope that we're going to see a little bit better price action, and if my cold clears up and I'm feeling a lot better, then we can definitely push for that 2 hour stream, because I do enjoy interacting with you guys. With that said, I do think that in 10 seconds I do have to go, but thank you for joining me today, everyone, and happy new year once again. Here's to a new year of just interacting with each other and helping each other grow and making money along the way. So I'm Langstrom. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Always use a stop loss. Take care, guys.